Dark Souls 2, we saw so many different concepts reutilized, from Ornstein, from Simone Ornstein's boss battle, to the bell tower gargoyles, to a lot of different themes and motifs. We see that the Dark Moon Greatsword gets utilized as a weapon in almost every Souls-like game. Is it just the fact that Miyazaki really likes to reutilize ideas and concepts to sharpen a point and bring it home to the player, or is there something else going on here? In today's video, I'm going to offer up my theory as to why so many different ideas, concept, motifs, characters, even items in the games are reappearing. What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome back to the channel. In today's theory crafting video, I'm going to be talking about the concept of the Aristotelian Unity in Souls games. The classical unities, Aristotelian unities, or three unities, represent a perspective theory of dramatic tragedy that was introduced in Italy in the 16th century and was influenced for 3 centuries. The 3 unities are: 1. Unity of action. A tragedy should have one principal action. Unity of time. The action in a tragedy should occur over a period of no more than 24 hours. Unity of place. A tragedy should exist in a single physical location. So let's take all of the Souls games as one big Souls game, one play, if you will. To get my theory across, I want to be able to bunch up all of the Souls games into one: Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. Now that you guys know the Aristotelian unities, or the 3 unities, let's go and put that into perspective when it comes to the Souls games. So if we're taking the Souls games, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 as a whole, we're going to go first with the unity of action. A tragedy should have one principal action. Now, the having of one principal action could be up for debate. It could be philosophical, of your morals or how you stand as a person, or having a revelation one moment and understanding that revelation at the very end. When it comes to the tragedy, having one principal action to go by, since we are combining the Souls games all into one big, huge monster soul for theory crafting purposes, that the concept and the principal action is looking for your humanity. Because that's what you're doing throughout all 3 of the Souls games. In Dark Souls 1, you're looking for humanity. In Dark Souls 2, it kind of follows the same concept, because you are doomed to become a hollow. In Dark Souls 2, you're known as the bearer of the curse. So the curse could potentially mean humanity or lack thereof. But in the 3rd game, this is where one of the many Aristotelian unities comes in, of where the bell tolls to signal that the first flame responsible for maintaining the Age of Fire is dying. We are responsible for kindling the flame or letting it be and bringing in the Age of Man in the very first game. And in the very last game, the flame is lit, and then it's going to go into the Age of Man. You see where I'm going? So it's really interesting to see that one concept, either way you chose, it's going to be the Age of Fire is going to proceed and take over, but then you have the Age of Fire also existing within the 3rd game. So at one point it's the same, and at the other point of the story, it ends off the same way. Since I'm kind of combining all Souls games 1, 2, and 3, we have it starting off one way and ending off the same way. So if we go into the second part of the Aristotelian unities, the second one is the action in a tragedy should occur over a period of no more than 24 hours. If we look at all 3 games, we are seeing it take place over a span of a day. This could be a stretch, and this might very well be a stretch. Listen, it makes sense up here, okay? So just humor me, go with me on this for a second. When we're in the very first game, we see that light is shining through our cell window, which signifies a breaking dawn, a breaking of the morning. Once we get to a certain point, a crow takes us on our merry way to Firelink Shrine. It looks very much like it is morning that is surrounding us. When we get to the second game, we get to kind of this midday, afternoon, almost evening vibe in Majula, where we're seeing the sun slowly starting to go down. I don't know about you, but in Majula, I felt like, okay, this is afternoon going towards evening. And then when we get to Dark Souls 3, it's evening. It's mostly nighttime in some of the places that we are visiting in the game. Even though there are nighttime sections in Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, it is very interesting to see that Firelink Shrine is completely day out, like it's morning out. In Majula, it's afternoon going towards the end of the day. And the hub that we rest at in Dark Souls 3 is also called Firelink Shrine, and that is coded in darkness. It is coded in what is this nighttime vibe and aura. In the first 2 games, Firelink Shrine, Majula Firelink Shrine, is outside. We see the morning, we see the afternoon, and now in Dark Souls 3, we see the night. So we get to the very final one. A tragedy should exist in a singular physical location. Firelink Shrine. Our hub and our resting place, the place that we always come back to, is that of Firelink Shrine. There is always a bonfire present. So in a sense, our bonfire is our singular location. Again, a bit of a stretch, but this is why I fucking love theory crafting videos. There's so much you can do with them. Now, that was the main theory that I had for this video, but there's also different concepts that leak up Aristotelian unities very, very vaguely, and very much I will stretch. I will keep stretching if I keep going. But other concepts and characters do include the character Manus. After we fight Manus, his soul kind of breaks off into little chunks and are embedded into different NPCs in Dark Souls 2. But that's more of a reappearing of a concept, not so much an Aristotelian unity. We see Ornstein, we see the Bell Gargoyles, and those are reappearing of concepts and motifs. Those could be considered Aristotelian unities if we see them in the very beginning of the game, but and then also at the very end. But the Bell Gargoyles show up at kind of like a halfway point in Dark Souls 2 again, but are in the very beginning of Dark Souls 1. So Dragon Slayer boss in Dark Souls 2 is completely optional. You don't have to fight the Dragon Slayer. You don't have to face that boss battle, but I find it very interesting in how the certain repeat bosses in that game carry a weight and they carry a meaning throughout the entirety of the Souls franchise. And the more that I think about it, the Moonlight Greatsword, it couldn't possibly be an Aristotelian unity because that is a constant theme, like an imprint that is made within the games. Probably going to expand on it further the more that I think about it, but I am sticking with my theory that we have Dark Souls 1 being morning, we have Dark Souls 2 being afternoon, and then we have Dark Souls 3 being evening. All linking up in an Aristotelian unity. God, I love these games. If I think of any more info, or if I come up with a stronger theory to add on to what I already have, I will definitely make a part 2 to this video. But if you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below. May you find your worth in the waking world, dear hunter. Stay casually nerdy, and I will see you all in the next video. Umbasa.